Hello gamers, Power Word Heal here, and today we're going to talk about a PSA that I want to put out, and this is going to be for new healers that are basically trying to gear up in dungeons. And the PSA is be wary of your warrior friends, your tanks, your DPS counterparts, right? Because a lot of them are now trying to build what is called a Flask set, which requires your healing gear. So I'll explain a little bit about what it is. I'll talk to you about how to prevent, your items from getting taken by a warrior, which is probably going to sound crazy if you have no idea what any of this is. And I'm going to make a video with a bit more detailed explanation on Flask set, my thoughts on it, and stuff like that for the next video. But for now, this is kind of just going to be the PSA where we explain stuff. So basically, warriors get this item with the release of Phase 3 called Diamond Flask. And it's a trinket, and it has a healing component to it. Now, like a lot of things in this game that have like healing component or some weird damage component, they tend to have a scaling factor, right? And in this case, the Diamond Flask actually does scale with plus healing. And the scaling is quite significant because for some reason, it actually scales per tick, which is unusual. Like normally what happens is like if I had 900 healing, right, on my gear, it would be distributed throughout the duration of the heal, right? But that is not actually the case here. It just ticks for that value the entire time. So, there are some potential uses for it that are pretty good. And we'll talk about that in the following video. But obviously, to maximize the effect of this set, you want plus healing in basically every slot that you can, right? And there's been kind of a thing going around recently that I've seen on Reddit, and I've seen guild members talk to me about it. I've had other people who just aren't guild members I know that play the game in Discord link me stuff. Basically, people taking their healing gear as a warrior, and they're taking it for their Flask set, right? So it's just something you want to be aware of. And basically, so I was leveling my druid, or not leveling it, but I was getting it gear about probably like a week ago or something like that, right? So basically around the time Blackwing Lair came out, like it was already out at that point, and I was running undead strats. And basically what I would do is I would ask, any of the warriors in the group, are you rolling for Flask set, anything like that? And honestly, like most of the time that kind of solves the problem because most people are fairly like transparent about it, and they will let you know, hey, yeah, I am running this for Flask set. And the thing you have to kind of be careful of is that a lot more tanks are kind of coming into the market, quote unquote, now, right? Because they didn't need anything before because they already had all their items, right? But now they actually need the healing gear for Flask set. So now they kind of want a tank again, but there's usually a cost, right? So if there's a surplus of tanks in the system, you can sometimes have to be a little bit wary because it's like, well, why is there a surplus, right? It's kind of like a too good to be true thing. Not a lot of people are leveling new tanks typically, so it tends to be that people are looking to come back and get gear for the Flask set. So yeah, usually what I'll do is I'll just check with the group beforehand, and that's fine. Now, there's a bunch of stories even on Reddit and stuff like that of people that do agree beforehand that, oh yeah, I'm not going to take the neck from Undead Strat, I'm not going to take the chest from Baron, and then you get into the run, and they roll on it, right? And it's one thing to roll on it. I still think, obviously, if somebody asks you beforehand if you're rolling on an item and you don't tell them, that is pretty messed up, especially when it's normally a healing item, right? And the healer can put it to way better use than you can. But some people even have master loot on, right? And then they will master loot themselves the item. So they're basically like ninjaing the item, right? It's not any different than a normal ninja, but it's again kind of like an extra level of like WTF for most healers because a lot of people probably don't even understand like what is going on and why they're taking the healing gear, right? So I just wanted to clarify why it's happening and kind of things you can do to stop it. The best thing you can do, obviously, is just making your own groups. This is what one of my guild mates has actually done. He's just starting to make his own groups now because it's been like a couple of times where people have just rolled on things. And the problem is that it's hard enough to get groups to begin with nowadays, right? So if you get a group, you may feel like pressured into staying kind of because it's like maybe the only run you're going to get in a bit. So yeah, it's just something you have to deal with. Of course, people aren't going to be reasonable about it. I mean, to be fair, Like if it's a warrior who doesn't need anything else, right? And he is coming purely to tank the dungeon for flask set, right? Then it obviously makes sense that he's going to want to roll on flask set items. And at that point, he should obviously create a group that kind of facilitates that, right? Where the healer is either okay with him rolling as well, or he already has a healer that has the items or something like that. But the thing is like if you're somebody who's like just doing the dungeons because you need stuff too, and then you're also gonna roll on the healer gear, that's like patently absurd in my opinion. Like if you're just like and this is what was happening to my guildmate, I think, in a couple of these cases where it's like you have somebody who clearly needs the dungeon itself, so you're not really that worried about them, right? They might even be underleveled in certain cases, right? For the dungeon, they might be like 58, 59. You're thinking, okay, like they just need actual gear, right? And they do need gear. But then on top of that, they're rolling for your healing items too. That is kind of like disgusting in my opinion. It should be like an extra thing, obviously, and you really shouldn't expect to get it as like a level 59 unless you've convinced people to like carry you through the dungeon. But like I said, the best way to deal with this is just to make the rules known beforehand, or just be the group leader and start your own groups and just master loot, right? And then you won't have to deal with this problem. So pretty simple solution, but I just wanted to make people aware because this is definitely something that's happening, and people can be very deceptive and shady about it. Unfortunately, I feel like the community in this game has degraded a bit. I don't even like really using the term community. I might make a whole separate video on that, but I think you get what I mean. Like the population, we're at an all-time selfishness level, I feel like, in the culture and in the game, right? So don't be surprised if this happens to you if you don't take the proper precautions to stop it from happening, right? So check with everybody beforehand, master loot your groups if you really want to be sure, and go snag those Prebus items. So thank you guys so much for watching, and like I said, I'll have the next Flask video out soon. So yeah, if this helped you, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys next time.